I welcome you to the Top 10 channel. Subscribe to the channel, put a like, and we start the next top. Top 10 Bizarre Pregnancies. Pregnancies in people are, for the most part, straightforward. The steps are the same whether you're having a baby naturally, in vitro, or through surrogacy. Take an egg and some sperm, combine them, and wait 9 months. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but you get the idea. Not all pregnancies are created equal, and some are downright bizarre. There are a variety of rare diseases and otherwise impossible pregnancies, and many of them may surprise you. These are the 10 most unique pregnancies ever documented, and they're downright bizarre. Youngest mother on record. A female usually does not start menstruation until she is approximately 12 years old. While that number varies by a few years, it represents the global average for most women. Despite this, girls have been known to start their menstrual periods far earlier. Even so, the earliest known example is startling. Lina Marcella Medina, a Peruvian girl, gave birth to a kid at the tender age of 5 years and 7 months. Even more astonishing is the fact that physicians calculated she had been menstruating since the age of 3 and could have become pregnant at such a young age. In most situations, this would not result in a pregnancy, but we do not live in a world where individuals do not prey on youngsters. Lina's father was arrested for rape and incest after she was admitted to the hospital with abdominal pain and discovered to be pregnant with a 7-month-old fetus. Because of her young age, the child was born via caesarean section, and the boy survived. He came in at 5.95 pounds, 2.7 kilograms, which was a healthy weight. The viable pregnancy was certainly rare, and no mother has since been recorded at such a young age, and hopefully, one never will. Oldest mother on record. Women used to stop producing children in their 40s, but that has changed thanks to contemporary medical treatments including in vitro fertilization and numerous medicines. Women can now get pregnant long into their 40s, but pregnancies in their 50s and beyond are uncommon. That isn't to say that isn't feasible, but it is uncommon. Even so, there are outliers like Omkari Panwar, who gave birth to twins at the age of 72. The Indian woman gave birth to a boy and a girl, and it was all thanks to in vitro fertilization, so it wasn't a freak occurrence. Both children were born healthy, albeit a little prematurely, despite the mother's near-death experience. Panwar and her husband, Karam Singh, had 2 further children and 5 grandkids, but no son. They went forward with implantation despite the risks since the desire for one was so strong. Although such behavior is frowned upon, having a son is crucial in India, where it is prohibited for a doctor to announce a child's sex. As a result of this desire, many healthy female babies are aborted, which is why the law exists. Getting pregnant while pregnant. It is possible to become pregnant while already pregnant, albeit this is quite uncommon. The occurrence is known as superfetation, and only around 10 cases have been documented in medical history. Julia Grovenberg, for example, became pregnant with her second son, Hudson, while also expecting her first daughter, Julian. Hudson was born 2 weeks after his sister, and the two were near enough in age to be mistaken for twins. Because they were both born at the same time, the parents were able to pass the children off in this manner. Surprisingly, superfetation can happen with several men, allowing you to have 2 infants from 2 distinct fathers at the same time. In 2017, an American surrogate mother became pregnant with 2 children for a Chinese couple. The embryo that had been implanted was the first. The second was the outcome of her and her partner's biological impregnation. The 2 pregnancies were 3 weeks apart and were technically the result of 2 women and 2 fathers. Double pregnancy without twins. When superfetation is an extremely rare way for a woman to become pregnant while already pregnant, there is another way for multiple pregnancies to occur. Didelphys is a disorder in which some women are born with more than one uterus. Although it is nearly impossible for these women to become pregnant in both uteri at the same time, it is possible. Because the chances of it happening are roughly 1 in 5 million, there aren't many documented cases. Angie Cromar managed to produce 2 babies at the same time in 2010, but they weren't twins. Twins are formed from 2 eggs fertilized by distinct sperm, fraternal, or a single fertilized egg that splits, identical, but develops in the same uterus, identical. Because the development of the kids in separate uteri of the same mother is completely distinct, they are not termed twins. It's basically 2 independent eggs and 2 sperm cells that combine individually, resulting in siblings rather than twins. Even so, they're sometimes referred to as non-genetic twins, which isn't necessarily inaccurate. It's extremely uncommon, with only about 100 documented cases. A didelphous pregnancy might theoretically come from 2 different fathers. 2 pregnancies from 2 separate fathers. It's uncommon to become pregnant while pregnant, but it can happen in a variety of ways. Superfetation results in a second pregnancy, but it isn't the only way for a woman to become pregnant. Having intercourse with numerous partners in a short period of time can result in a more common double pregnancy. When a woman ovulates, she usually only produces 1 egg, although she may produce more on rare occasions. When this happens, 1 or both sperm cells can fertilize one another. Sperm can live for up to 5 days after being inseminated, and throughout that period, they're looking for an egg. Even though the lady was already pregnant at the time, one of those cells can fertilize the second egg if it is found. A case in point occurred in 2009, when a Texas mother gave birth to twin sons. When their father observed how dissimilar they were, he requested a paternity test. The results were puzzling since, despite the fact that both infants were born at the same time, they had different biological fathers. This condition, known as heteropaternal superfecundation, affects 1 to 2% of all fraternal twins. Through the father, it has resulted in the birth of twins who are of different races. The successful birth of Nanuplets. In 2009, an American mother became a reality star and a Guinness World Record holder after giving birth to 8 children at once. In 2021, Octomom faced some competition when a Malian woman called Halima Cissé gave birth to 9 infants at once by caesarean section, 5 girls and 4 boys, all of whom survived. That's significant because the previous 2 occurrences of Nanuplets deliveries both resulted in all of the children dying after only a few days. Cissé was fortunate in that she was spared that horrible fate, and all of her children were born healthily. Because they weighed between 1.1 and 2.2 pounds, 500 grams and 1 kilogram, they had to spend the first 2 to 3 months of their existence in incubators, where they could continue to grow and mature. The Nanuplets were delivered at the Ain Borja Clinic in Casablanca, which required a team of 10 doctors and 25 paramedics. Multiple pregnancies, like Mrs. Cissé's, are usually the consequence of reproductive procedures rather than natural conception. It's unclear whether this is the case for Cissé, although it's feasible that it may occur spontaneously. "27 years old at birth. Multiple embryos are extracted during in vitro fertilization to boost the chances of a healthy pregnancy. People frequently store unused embryos in the freezer in order to use them at a later period. They are sometimes donated to embryo adoption programs so that infertile couples might utilize them to conceive a child. Embryos aren't often kept in cryogenic storage for more than a few years. Even said, there have been occasions where an embryo has been kept and used after a considerably longer time. Tina Gibson and her husband Ben were successful in obtaining 2 embryos from a cryogenic freezer, and both of them set records. Their first child was conceived from a frozen embryo that had been removed and stored for 24 years. They went back to the source when they chose to conceive another child so that their children would be genetic siblings. One of 2 embryos implanted from the same donor was successful. The kid was conceived from a frozen egg donated in 1992, 27 years before the Gibsons had it implanted. That's the amount of time an egg took between being extracted, frozen, thawed, and implanted before resulting in a healthy pregnancy. The surprise birth, cryptic pregnancy. Over the years, medical shows and even Monty Python's The Meaning of Life have explored the unexpected pregnancy theme, so many people believe it's rather common. It isn't, and when a child is born unexpectedly, it can cause a slew of complications for everyone involved. Surprise pregnancies, sometimes known as cryptic pregnancies, occur when a woman has no or few pregnancy signs. Morning sickness, cramps, minor abdominal swelling, and other symptoms can lead a woman to believe she isn't pregnant, so she continues to menstruate. Melissa Surjkov gave birth to her baby in April 2021 while sitting on the toilet, thinking she was passing a kidney stone. Stories like these do show up now and then, and while cryptic pregnancies are rare, they do happen more frequently than you might expect. An obstetrician at University College London Hospitals, Patrick O'Brien, sees roughly one a year. In some circumstances, the unaware soon-to-be mother has been menstruation regularly throughout her pregnancy, so the kid is truly unexpected. Because the mother received no prenatal care, these pregnancies can be difficult. The longest recorded pregnancy. If you've ever watched a sitcom about a pregnant lady, you've probably seen someone whine about their baby not arriving on time. It's a popular cliché in the entertainment industry, and it's also very common among women outside of it. The average pregnancy lasts 280 days, or a little more than 9 months and a day. Although this is the norm, many children are born prematurely or late. Then there's Beulah Hunter, the woman who was pregnant for the longest period of time. Hunter's daughter Penny Diana was born after 375 days, giving her a place in history and a tale to tell for the rest of her life. Hunter's unique pregnancy aroused speculation that she might have miscarried and then became pregnant again throughout her year of pregnancy. Her physicians swiftly debunked this theory, and by all accounts, she was indeed pregnant, with a kid who arrived 100 days late. Hunter's daughter appeared to be in great health with no odd occurrences. Her womb was found to be healthy, however her daughter developed at a slower rate than expected. Her pregnancy had a few hiccups in terms of development, which is why she was able to survive for so long. Longest labor pains ever recorded. If your mother ever let you know that she suffered for a long time delivering you, and you should appreciate her, she's right. Still, her intense pain that lasted upwards of 10+ hours may sound terrible, and it probably was, but it hardly counts as the worst labor pains on record. That distinction goes to Joanna Krzysztokan, a Polish woman who suffered far longer than most. Instead of the more typical 8 to 12 hours of labor pains felt by most mothers, Krzysztokan endured a disturbingly long 75 days. That's 1,800 hours of intense labor pains. She went into early labor at 21 weeks while carrying triplets. The first was born soon after, but it was too early to survive, leaving 2 still inside her womb. The labor pains didn't end, nor were the other children delivered. Instead, her contractions continued. To help her children survive, her doctors placed her in a bed tilted at a 30 degrees angle with her feet up. She remained in that position for 75 days, experiencing labor pains the entire time. Fortunately, after that insanely long period of time, she delivered the remaining 2 children safely. Krzysztokan suffered some balancing issues soon after the birth, but she's since recovered. Subscribe to the channel and like it. There are still many interesting stories ahead.